Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And this week I am celebrating Christmas in July. Why not, right? We just launched a beautiful new holiday catalog filled with gorgeous holiday products. So I thought, why not take a week out of my summer and focus on Christmas for a few days before I go back to enjoying my regularly scheduled programming. So today we are all about the Boughs of Holly Suite. It is absolutely gorgeous. If you are someone who loves traditional red and green and traditional holiday imagery, you are going to love this suite. It is gorgeous. We are going to make 3 cards today, and one of them is a non-traditional color scheme. The others are traditional red and green. So I want to show you a little twist on it. And so one quick and easy, one a little bit stepped up, and one fun fold. Does that sound good? All right, let's pull up the video here on my iPad and see who is joining me. Who is here? Come on, there we go. Hi, Crystal. You found some Wi-Fi. Awesome. Hi, Linda. Hi, Diane. Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Hi, Peggy. Oh, got a notification. The cat is at the door. We have a front porch camera. We actually have a front porch, back deck, and side door camera because my husband was getting tired of having to go looking for the cats. So he has installed these cameras, so we now get notifications whenever one of the cats is at the door. So now Stella's at the door. So hopefully my son has gotten that notification and he'll go let her in. Otherwise she's going to be waiting about 45 minutes till I'm done. Or my husband comes home from work, whichever happens first. All right, I see a few more rolling in here. Hi, Tracy. How are you? Hi, Judith. So, as I mentioned, we're all about Christmas in July this week. I held my Christmas in July stamp camp on Saturday, and I featured this suite. So, I've been posting a couple of the WOW projects from that class, and today I'm going to show you 3 beautiful Christmas projects. Okay? So, let me do the flipperoo, and I'm going to show you the products that we're going to be focusing on, and then we're going to get to some stamping. Okay, so here we go. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Heather. Nice to see you, girls. Hope you all are well and keeping cool. Yeah, you get to see some goodies, and you'll get to see the projects. Tracy, they are all posted, or they're going to be posting over the next few days. All right. Who else is here? Hi, Gail from Halton Hills. Okay, you're going to love this week, Gail. Hi, Claire. All right, so I'm focusing on the DSP and the bundle. There are some beautiful embellishments and some ribbon with this suite. I'm not going to be focusing on those today. We're all about the DSP and the bundle. And honestly, those are sort of the wow factor parts of this suite. So, of course, our bundle has a beautiful stamp set. We have some 2-step stamping with our holly leaves. So one image is a little bit more solid. The other is a little bit more detailed. So these layer on top of each other. They're really easy to layer. And then, of course, we have the holly berries, same thing, 2-step stamping. And then some lovely seasonal sentiments. Okay, and then of course we have coordinating dies. So these dies cut out the stamped holly leaves. This one cuts out the berries. And then these are detailed dies which will layer over top of the holly leaves if you'd like. Okay, so you can get 2-step stamping and 2-step die cutting. And then we have some pine sprigs. We have a lovely label die with this piece actually is designed to go behind these holly leaves. So they're detailed, and then this is a solid die cut so you can layer them. And then another label. So a great bundle. We used this a ton on Saturday. I think we used every stamp in the stamp set in my class on Saturday. So that's the bundle. And then, of course, we have the gorgeous DSP. Now, this is a leftover share. Of course, this DSP is 12 by 12, but this is cut down to 6 by 6. So we have some beautiful sprigs, some poinsettias, some more sprigs, a spruce forest. Poinsettias, did a lot of fussy cutting of these. I actually cut 5 12 by 12 sheets of these. For my event on Saturday, and then a larger poinsettia image. And then, of course, when we flip them over, we have slightly more subdued patterns. Love this bark pattern, so pretty. We have a wash. You're going to see that in action today. This is beautiful for die cutting the holly leaves. We've got a stripe, some polka dots, and then a camo. I am not really sure about this pattern. This is one of the patterns in the pack where you kind of go, huh, I'm not sure what I would do with that, and I have yet to use it. Thankfully, what's on the other side is gorgeous, so I'm always good. As long as I like one side of the DSP, I can make it work. And if I like both, then it's a problem. I have to buy extra packs. All right, so here we go. Our first project is a non-traditional one. So I posted this earlier today. This is actually from a swap that I participated in. It was my design for the swap. And I love it because it's got lots of shimmer and shine. And it's a non-traditional color scheme. Sometimes it's fun to break away from the green and red, right? So this is a slightly different take. We've still got the green, we've got pink, sort of reddish, right? So kind of a departure from traditional Christmas, but still close, okay? All right, so let's get to it. Hi, Louise. Oh, gotta go pick up your puppy. Totally okay, that's what replays are for, right? All right, so we have to start a piece of DSP. Now this is from the Gingham Cottage Suite, which is part of the mini catalog. I'm going to be featuring that in a few weeks. It's a large gingham pattern. There's a black and white on one side. This is a gray and white. And I love this sort of gray and white. This reminds me of like a buffalo check. So this is cut to 5 1/4 by 4. And then I have here a piece of Blushing Bride cardstock that I've embossed using the Wintry embossing folder. So those are the ones in the annual catalog. They're the narrower ones that fit through the mini machine. Okay, it's a lovely snowflake emboss pattern. This is 2 by 5 1/4. So we're going to go ahead and layer that. It's going to go pretty much across the center of our panel here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive. And we'll stick this guy down. The nice thing about using a piece that's 2 inches wide is that it goes pretty much like an inch up from the bottom and an inch down from the top when you're trying to center. It's easy. All right, now I have some of this gorgeous, can't remember the name of this ribbon. It's like a mesh. It was actually part of a Halloween suite a couple of years ago, and it has stuck around, and I love it for holiday cards because it looks kind of frosty. So I'm going to show you what I did to kind of make this look like it's tied around my card. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to put a little bit of seal along one edge, and I'm going to stick one end of my, now let's make sure that's centered. Centered is always better than not when it comes to ribbon. All right, so there we go. Now I'm going to put a little bit of seal right smack in the middle here, and I'm going to give this a twist. Okay, and I'm going to press it into that seal that's in the middle that I just put down, and then I'm going to stretch this and wrap it around the back. So do you see how when I add my focal image, it's going to look like it's tied around there, or gathered at least. So it's kind of like a little hack, fake way to do it. Without actually having to wrap and tie your ribbon. Easy peasy. Okay. All right. So there is our card front. We're going to layer this on another piece of Blushing Bride. I really like having that extra layer of color between my card front and the card base. So this one is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So we're going to layer that. So again, a little bit more adhesive. And we'll center that on here. Okay, and then we can go ahead and glue this onto our card base. So our card base is Smoky Slate cardstock. It's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we're going to fold that in half along our score line. And add a bit of adhesive. Welcome, ladies who are joining us. We are all about Christmas in July this week. I'm just taking a little break from my summer vacation to do a little Christmas for a week, and then we're going back to summer because I'm not quite ready to be fully Christmas just yet. All right, so there we go. That is our foundation. And then we have all kinds of little bits. Now, I have to talk about these gorgeous die cuts. First of all, they're beautifully detailed, these holly leaves. They're kind of 2 different sizes, and these are actually cut from the Brushstroke specialty paper in the annual catalog. And it has beautiful shimmer and texture. I'm hoping that shows up on the camera, that you can see that. It's just gorgeous. I have my holly berries. I've actually already layered these. These were left over from when I was doing my swap. I got a little carried away and did a couple too many. So I have already have those layered. And then I have a die cut label. So this is die cut using the All That dies, which are also from the annual catalog. I love when I can mix and match products from the annual catalog with the mini, because there's so many fantastic things in the annual that just, we've only had for a month before the pre-order for the holiday stuff started. So I'm not quite ready to give up on the annual catalog. So I'm going to stamp my Christmas wishes sentiment. See, my mouth doesn't even want to say Christmas yet. I'm in denial. So I'm stamping that in basic gray, which is also in the DSP. Okay, so that's going to layer there. And I just realized that I need my Smoky Slate ink because I need to add a little holly leaf right here. Not Smoky Slate, soft succulent. Soft succulent. So I'm going to add a little holly leaf just down in the corner. Ink this up, stamp it off, and I'm just going to add a little stamped off holly leaf right down there. Again, it always is nice to add just a little something to your sentiments, just to make it interesting. All right, so now we are going to create our little arrangement behind our sentiment. Now these are very large leaves, so I'm actually going to be cutting a good chunk off as I do my arrangement here. So I'm going to put my first leaf kind of coming up to the left. This one's going to kind of come down and to the right. So I'm going to add a little bit more adhesive, and we're going to pop this on. You're not doing anything, Chris. Well, if I wait till after my holidays, Krista, it's going to be September, and then I'm going to be in big trouble because I won't have enough time to do everything I want to do. All right, so our little holly berries, I think I'm actually going to kind of nestle them. No, I like them on top. Yeah, we're going to just peel this back. I should have put them on first. We're going to tuck them in behind our label, so they're kind of peeking out, okay, layered on top of our leaves. And then I have some of the little pine sprigs that are cut from silver foil. So I'm going to add a couple of those to the back. Whoopsie, didn't want to do that. There we go. Did I mention these are really delicate? These little die cuts, these holly leaves. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. So there is our little arrangement. Now that is going to get popped up on the front of our card. So we're going to add a couple of dimensionals. Hi Cheryl, how are you? I hope you're good. I'm actually heading up tomorrow afternoon to my parents. My parents live up just outside of Parry Sound near Magnetowan, Ontario. And so I'm going to go up and see them. I haven't seen them since last summer. So I'm going to go up and spend a couple of days there. And also my niece and nephew who live in Michigan, they're actually there right now. So I'll get to see them for a couple of days as well. So I'm quite excited about that. So there we go. Now this is pretty just as is. We don't really need to add a bow. But you know me, I love me a bow. So we are going to take our, this is another piece of that same mesh ribbon, but I've cut it in half lengthwise to give me a narrower piece to tie. The width of this ribbon can make it a little bit tricky to tie a bow if you're using the full width. So by cutting it down a little bit, it makes it much easier. And I didn't do a very good job of that. Let's try that again. So I'm doing my bow a little bit differently. I'm not doing a bunny ear bow. Just because the mesh on this makes it a little bit of a challenge to do a bunny ear. So we're just doing a good old-fashioned bow. So we're gonna trim our ends. Oops, missed a little bit there. And then that is going to get stuck right in the corner of our label, right here, with a glue dot. Now, actually, maybe I'll put it here. Yep, gonna change my design. It's gonna go over here because I don't want to cover up my little stamped holly leaf there. So we're gonna add a glue dot to the knot of our bow. And we're just gonna pop that in over here. Floof up my, and what I love about this mesh ribbon is it doesn't squish when you put it in the envelope. It stays floofy. All right, there you go. Now, last touch is a couple of these fabulous Festive Pearls. So they come in 3 colors. We've got the red, soft succulent, silver, and gold. So I'm going to use a couple silver just to stick with the cool tones I've got going on here. So we'll just add a couple of these guys. And we're done. Isn't that a pretty card? Really quick, easy to mass produce. Ask me how I know. I made 21 of these for a swap, and it took me a couple hours. Okay, so it's a really good one for mass production. Now, if you're someone who likes traditional red and green, you could certainly change the color scheme but keep the same basic layout. In fact, the next card I'm going to show you uses the same basic layout. Okay, all right, let's set this aside. I'm going to show you my next project. So this is a little bit of a wow. If you love red, green, and gold, oh, my bow's coming off. Let's add a glue dot there. I think I forgot to actually stick this on when I was designing this. There we go. Let's make sure our bow stays put. All right, so again, traditional red and green, real wow with all the gold foil. But again, same basic layout. It's a little bit wider center. But we're gonna do a little stamping on this to add even more texture. So I'm going to bring in my Mossy Meadow ink and one of my detailed stamps, okay? Actually, I should have both. Where's the other one? Here it is. We're going to use both. So I'm going to just do tone-on-tone stamping to add some texture to, whoops, let's make sure we ink that well, to my DSP here. So I'm just going to kind of come around, stamp a few holly leaves. Whoopsie. And then I'm going to come in with the smaller leaf and do the same thing. Just a little bit there. There we go. Okay. So it just adds so much interest to our background. As you can see, we're not going to see that middle part, so I'm not going to worry about stamping that. Okay. But that just adds some real interest, and just a reminder not to forget that it's okay to stamp on designer series paper. Many of us forget about that. So that's your little public service announcement reminder that it's okay to stamp on DSP. All right, so we're going to work on our horizontal element. So this is a piece of the beautiful gold foil, and I've embossed it using the Merry Melody embossing folder. It happens to be one of my faves. I don't know why. Maybe it's the music teacher in me. Now I also have a piece of real red cardstock. So I should mention this is cut to 2.5 by 5 1/4. This one is 2 5/8 by 5 1/4. So it's just a little bit wider, and I'm going to have, excuse me, have that nice narrow border. So we're going to go ahead and stick that down. Oh, you got your order, Cheryl. That's awesome. There will be some card making in your future. All right. So now this is going to get glued across the center of our DSP panel. So you see, when I layer that, you can't tell that I didn't stamp in the middle, right? It just has that beautiful holly leaf texture. So we are going to, again, add a little bit of adhesive. This card has got like a bazillion layers, so you guys are going to have to settle in, okay? I couldn't stop adding stuff to this one. I kind of went a little cray-cray when I was designing this. Okay, but I just love layers, and I just think it makes it look really rich. I'm going to do a little bit of a trim here on one end because my edges don't quite line up. There we go. Clean that up a bit. And we're going to add a bit of ribbon. So I have a whole bunch of little scraps of this ribbon because, again, I used it for my events on the weekend. So I'm going to just add a glue dot to one end. I'm going to lay it across the front of my card and trim off the excess. And then we're going to add the second one. So this is going about, I don't know, 1/2, 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom of that horizontal piece. Okay, the center piece. This ribbon is gorgeous. It is from the mini catalog. It's very vanilla and gold, and it's just so elegant looking. All right, before we do anything else, we're going to layer this piece onto another mat. Remember how I said there's lots of layers? So we have a real red cardstock mat. It is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So again, I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive This is one of those cards that will probably require extra postage just because of weight, because of all the layers. You certainly could skip this real red layer. I just, again, like that little pop of color between it and the card base. I'm going to dump all my little bits here. My card base is thick, very vanilla cardstock. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Hi, Sonia. Thanks so much for sharing. I appreciate that. So I'm folding my card base in half. And then I'm going to, again, apply a little bit of adhesive and pop this on to the front of my card. Just like that. Okay, now we get to work on our focal image. And if you thought there were a lot of layers on the card base, just wait till you see what's going on here. Okay, so this is that beautiful label stamp that has the holly leaf detail. It has this lovely sort of floating frame effect. Now, I'm going to end up popping this whole thing up, and I didn't want the frame to kind of be hanging out unadhered because it's really hard to apply adhesive to this narrow little frame, especially if you're popping it. So I'm actually going to, this may horrify some of you, I'm going to chop this little bit off. Don't need it. Okay. So we're not going to use that little floating element. Okay. Now, the rest of this is really just a matter of layering. So this is my sort of foundation. I have another part of this frame that is cut from Mossy Meadow. I'm really just interested in the holly leaves, which is why I didn't cut the whole thing. And then I have that funny die cut that I've done in gold that's going to layer behind the holly leaves. So I'm going to peel off my backing here and hope that most of my bits come out. Look at that, they did. I love it when that happens. No poking required. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and layer this. The adhesive sheets make it really quick and easy to do. So that is going to line up. Oops, I didn't do a very good job of that. Let's try that again. Get that lined up precisely. Why is this not lining up? Probably because I bent it. It does line up perfectly. I'm just trying to brush. There we go. Okay, now I don't need all of this, so again, I'm going to chop this off. All I really need are the leaves there. Okay, all right, so we are going to also layer, so here are some more of the holly leaves cut from that same green pattern from the DSP pack that we used on our background. So don't they make beautiful leaves? Then we're going to go ahead and layer the detailed gold foil die cuts over top. So I'm just going to peel this right off. Again, all my bits came right out. Love it when that happens. So we're just going to pop this on. I'm not worrying too much if the stems line up because we're not going to see them. I'm actually going to probably end up cutting off that stem. And then same thing with this one. So I'm going to layer this guy. Okay, so there we go. There are our two layered holly leaves. We're also going to layer some berries. So I have the berries that I've cut from some DSP and then my gold foil berries on top. So we're going to peel off our backing on this one as well. And I'm just going to pop this on. Okay, so isn't that pretty having the gold on top of the colored DSP? I just love it. All right, so now we are going to work on layering. So this one is going to get layered. This leaf is going to get layered this way. This one is going to get layered behind it. Okay, I probably need to cut a little bit of this holly leaf off, but we're not going to need all of it. So I'm actually going to cut about half of it off, maybe not half, a quarter. So this is going to come on this way. This is going to come on this way. Okay, and that's going to hide those leaves or partial leaves that we had there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive on the back of this guy. It's going to go right about there. And then this one's going to come across right about there. So just like that. Okay, now I'm not worrying about this because we're going to hide that with these guys. So this one's going to tuck in behind here and peek out from behind. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive here. Come here. Don't stick to my grid paper. Still had a bit of adhesive sheets on there. And that's going to go there. Isn't that a pretty little arrangement? And then we're going to add our leaves, or sorry, our berries rather. So our berries are going to tuck in just in behind the leaf, right about there. And then we're just going to add some sprigs, some pine sprigs. So these are cut from Mossy Meadow cardstock. So we'll do one there, and we'll probably do a couple down here. Let's put a couple more. Maybe we'll do a couple this way. So one there and one there. Is that gonna stick? Nope, need a bit more glue. Here we go. And I think, whoops, we're gonna add one more up this way. Yep, we are. It's gonna go out that way. Isn't that pretty? So it's just a matter of layering the die cut images here. It's nothing super fancy. Now this whole thing is going to get popped up. So I'm gonna add some dimensionals. So we'll go 1 and 2. There we go. So we're gonna get rid of our backings. And we're gonna pop this on. Now this would look equally pretty going this way, okay? But we're gonna do it this way because that's what I designed. I'm not gonna totally change it right now. All right, so we're gonna just center this on our, that's gonna be a little bit too low, too high because we don't want our holly leaves hanging off the top, right? We wanna make sure they're all on the card, okay? And then this one is going to get popped up just centered on our label. So we're gonna add a couple of dimensionals here. This is our last layer, ladies. It's hard to believe, I know. Now this, I've heat embossed this sentiment in gold on the very vanilla cardstock. Okay, I just think it looks nice and rich. And then we're gonna tie a little bow. Hi, Anne from Colorado. All right, so here we go. We're gonna fix our bow until we have something pretty. Lots of layers, Tracy. Lots and lots of layers. Like I said, this is a little bit of a wow card. This is not one that you're going to mass produce for everyone you know to receive. This is someone is going to go to someone special because it does take a little bit of time, but it is sure worth the effort, isn't it? All right, last little touch is some red rhinestones. I love these little red rhinestones because it almost looks like they glow. When they catch the light, it looks like they're little mini lights. And I absolutely love them on Christmas cards. So there we go. There is a little bit of a wow holiday card in traditional red and green for you. Okay, so that is number 2. Oh, glad you like that one. All right, number 3 is a fun fold. It's a good old arrow fold card. I haven't made one of these in a while. And I thought I really wanted to showcase the beautiful designer series paper in this suite. So this one doesn't have that many layers. It looks like it has a ton, but it really doesn't. It's just the fold that makes it look that way. So I'm gonna give you a little refresher on how to do this. Maybe some of you haven't made an arrow fold card before. Maybe you've been afraid to because you think they're too hard. Well, I'm here to tell you they're not. They're actually really quite easy. So hopefully after I show you, you will be brave and give it a try. All right, so I'm going to set this aside for a minute and bring in my card base and my pencil and eraser. Okay, so this starts out as just a very standard basic white card base. So it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Same old, same old. Okay, so I'm actually going to start by folding this in half just so that you can clearly see where the score line is. Now, I wouldn't normally do this if I were making this on my own, but because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, I'm going to fold it so you can see where the score line is. Okay, so there is my card base. So I'm going to take my pencil. I'm just going to move up my grid paper here so you can see the bottom of it, hopefully. And I want to find the center point on both sides. So the short side and the long side and this short side. So starting with the long side, it's 5.5 inches wide. So half of 5.5 is 2 3/4. So I'm going to put my little tick there. I'm just noticing this isn't exactly, I'm going to trim this a bit because this isn't exactly 5.5. It's a little smidge too wide, and that's going to mess things up for us. So we're just going to clean that up so it's truly 5.5. All right, so I've got my center point on my bottom edge. Then I'm going to rotate. I'm going to line my fold up, and half of 4 1/4 is 2 1/8, right? So I'm going to put a little tick mark at 2 1/8, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other short side, 2 1/8. Okay, so I have my center points marked on 3 sides, not the folds, but the other 3 sides I've marked my center points. Okay, this is just regular cardstock, Tracy. I tend not to use thick basic white for fun folds because it ends up being too bulky. When you're layering this, we're going to be layering some folds, and it's going to get a little bit too thick and bulky. So the regular basic white is just fine for this. Okay, all right. So now I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and I'm going to first line up my score, my fold in the middle of the card, with that center point on the bottom edge. Okay, so I'm lining up my fold and the center point on the bottom edge. I'm going to swap out for my stylus on my take your pick. I'm using the smaller stylus. You could certainly use your scoring blade on your trimmer. I just like to use my stylus because I feel like I can be a little bit more precise. So I'm just going to use my cutting track as a groove for my stylus. Okay, so there's my first score line from the fold to the center. Okay, now I'm going to line up this center mark with the center here, and I'm going to score again. So center and center. Get your stylus going, and away we go. Okay, so now I have my 2 score lines. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So starting with my fold and my center points, I want to line those up. And again, start my stylus, come straight down. Okay, and then again from this center mark to this center mark, straight down. Okay, so can you see those? I'll flip it over. It's a little bit easy to see on the reverse side because you can see the bumps, but those are my score lines. That's all there is to this card. It's really quite simple. So now we're going to do some folding. Actually, first we're going to erase our pencil marks. So it's always handy to have an eraser. Anytime you're marking anything on your card front, you kind of want to erase it. You don't want to see those pencil marks. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and fold. So I'm flipping my card over. I'm going to fold from the center fold to the midpoint inwards. Okay, so I folded that inwards. This fold, I'm going to fold back the opposite way. Now, you always want to burnish really well. Okay, can you see how that looks? This is what it looks like from the inside. It almost looks like we're making a paper airplane. So we're going to fold this side, same thing, and then fold this one back. Okay, and this is why you don't want to use thick white. Okay, it's too bulky and your folds won't be as crisp as you want them. All right, so that's the foundation of our card. Now we're going to glue these flaps. So I'm going to put a little bit of seal on this larger triangle and fold it inwards. And then this little guy, I'm going to just put some right along the score line and stick that down. Okay, same thing on this side. A little bit of glue here. Fold that inwards. And then this guy outwards. Okay, so there is my card base. Isn't that easy? It's a lot easier than people think. First time I saw this, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That looks too fussy, but it's really not. Okay, all right, now let's work on decorating. So I have in my little bag of goodies a piece of that gorgeous poinsettia pattern DSP. This is 4 by 5 1/4. Now we need to cut this down because we're actually going to use it both on the front and the inside of our card. So just like we did on the card base, we're going to find the center point of one long side. Now the card base was 5.5 inches wide, so it was 2 3/4 was our center. This is 5 1/4 inches wide, so our center is going to be 2 5/8. This is fractions, right? If you slept through math class, you may not like the fraction part. So I'm going to mark 2 5/8 with my pencil. Okay. Then again, I'm going to come in with my trimmer and I'm going to cut from the top left corner on the side that I don't have marked. So I'm going to cut from here to here and then from here to here. Okay. So again, I'm going to take my time, line up my pieces. Now, when you are trying to cut a corner, you don't want to come at the corner this way because you're going to probably tear it. So in order to get a clean cut, it is better to start in the middle. So just press your blade in and go up and down. And that will give you a nice clean corner. Okay, so that's one. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So lining up my center mark and my opposite corner. Same thing, start in the middle, up and down. Okay, so that gives me my triangle for the front. And then when I flip these over, I have my pieces to decorate the inside. Isn't that slick? Love it. All right, let's get this out of the way. We're gonna glue these guys on. So this is our triangle for the center. Let me open this up so you can see. You're gonna have a little bit of a border all the way around, which is what we love, right? Borders are fun. So I'm gonna add a little bit of glue here. I like to use liquid glue when I'm lining these up, just to make sure everything's nice and tidy and straight. So we're just gonna center that and then make sure it's well burnished. Okay, and then on the inside, now I need to just clean up. So when you are using one of our trimmers, sometimes you'll get a raised edge where it cuts. Just take your bone folder and run it along there and it'll get rid of that raised edge. Okay, so this one is going to go on this side and this one, actually, yeah, this one is going to go on this side. Now that is not the cleanest cut because my trimmer is not exactly sharp. I need a fresh blade. But if you have a fresh blade, you'll be good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and glue these on. So one in one corner. Okay, now I always like to close this so that I can see where I'm lining things up here. Okay, there we go. And then this one. It's gonna go in the opposite corner. And ideally your points here will meet. And again, just look at that to make sure everything is nice and tidy. Now there's a pencil mark there, so we're gonna get rid of that because we don't really wanna see it. There we go. So there's our foundation. Isn't that easy? It's actually a lot easier than it looks. All right, now comes the fun part. We've got lots of bits and bobs in here. So we'll pull these out. I had some more fussy cutting fun with the poinsettia pattern from this DSP pack. And really all the work on this card is done by the DSP. So the best thing about this, this card is that I can actually use up the partial images that happen along the edges of the DSP sheet because I can tuck these little guys in behind my folds and no one will ever know. Now, to do my sentiment, I wanted to show you another fabulous new bundle. So this is the Handmade Wishes bundle. It's got a beautiful label punch and then some fantastic sentiments and frames for the label, and I just love it. This is the first time I pulled it out, and I foresee it being a go-to for me. So we are going to do a little stamping and then punch last. So I have my frame stamp here. I'm going to stamp my frame. What color did I stamp my frame? Red, right? Yes, in red. So I'm using real red. Hi, Pam. Thanks for sharing. All right, so we're going to pop this on. I'm going to stamp my frame. I'm stamping it as a diamond because that's the way it goes into the punch. Just will make my life easier. I'm going to keep that out because I'm going to be using that again in a second. I'm going to start by stamping my Christmas right across the center of my label here. So I'm hoping this is straight. It's really hard to know when you're not looking right down on it. It's not quite centered, but that's okay. And then we're going to stamp Mary in red, just above it. Ooh, that's not very nice, but that's okay. No, you know what? I don't like it. We're starting on one again. Too many. I can live with one little oopsie, but there's too many on that one. So here we go again. There's our frame. We're going to see if we can center Christmas a little better. I'm going to move this little, you know what the problem is? I need to move this closer. There we go. Now I can see. Still a little bit off, but that's okay. And then our Mary, this time I'm going to make sure it's fully inked. We're going to stamp that above Christmas. Okay. And then our holly leaves, there's two cute little holly leaves that work so well with this suite, which is why I kind of gravitated to it. We're going to stamp kind of going in opposite directions. So we're going to do one going off to the left and one going off to the right. And I've left some space in between to add my little berries. Okay, now we're actually going to add some gems to those in a minute. I should mention I'm stamping in Evening Evergreen is my green and Real Red is my red. Okay, so now we're going to punch that out. So we'll pop this into our punch. And I'll line her up. Isn't that a pretty label? I love this shape. All right, so that is going to go on centered on the front of our card like that. Okay, now we're going to arrange some holly leaves, or some poinsettias rather. So we're going to have one kind of coming off to the left, another one kind of coming down and to the right, and then these little guys are going to fill in. So we're just going to glue these flat. So we'll put one here, and we're going to add another one here. And then that is going to get popped up there. So let's do that, and then we'll add our other little bits. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Get rid of our backings. And then we're going to pop this on, centered on our triangle. Okay, so that's the way that's going to look. Now, I want to add a little bit more here. So we're going to just add a little bit of liquid glue. Put a bit there, and we're going to tuck that in just under there like that. And then this little guy, I think we're going to tuck in. Do we want it up here? Maybe we don't need this little guy, actually. Let's see, do I want to add it down here? Nope, you know what? I don't think we need this one. Now this is coming loose. We need a little extra glue here. Go. Okay. I don't really, well, unless I add it up here. Nope, it's too much. We're good. All right. So all that's left is to do a little embellishing. So I have here a little bit of Evening Evergreen sheer ribbon. So we're just going to tie a little bow. Make it nice and pretty. What I love about this ribbon is that you can pull it so nice and tight and get a nice tight knot on your bow. Just so pretty. So that's going to get glued to the top of our label with a glue dot. So we'll add that. There we go. And then we're going to add a couple of little red pearls to our stamped holly berries, except I need to swap out my stylus for my, actually I could probably use this end. It'll be easier. So we're going to go 1, and whoops, come here you, and 2, and 3. There we go. Isn't that cute? Now, if you are someone who doesn't like seeing this part, the folds, you can cut another triangle to cover it. Okay, so I'll show you the difference. So just see how I've added a triangle of plain white here to cover the folds. Personally, I actually really like the fact that you can see those folds because it really shows how cool this fun fold is. I think that adds interest to the card. But if you don't like to see that, I just cut this triangle in the same way we cut this triangle, okay, from a piece of basic white cardstock. Okay, but there you go. Easy, pretty little fun fold. All right, let's do some cleanup here. I'm going to bring back all of our projects from today. So there's our Merry Christmas. There's a Christmas Wishes. And there's another Christmas Wishes for you. Now I'm going to show you a couple other projects before I let you go. So these are a couple more that I designed using this fabulous suite. So this was another swap card that I made. Super, super simple. This is one that I demonstrated in my launch video for the holiday catalog. And then here's another non-traditional one. Really had fun with this one. So very non-traditional color scheme, but I really, really like it. I think it's really fresh and fun. So there's a couple other ideas with this suite. I hope you enjoy these projects. Now, I have some sad news for you. I am not going to be live for the next 2 weeks. Not because I don't love you, but because I need a vacation. It's been a really, really busy summer so far. And so my husband's got holidays coming up starting on Saturday. And so we are going to take 2 weeks off. I'm taking 2 weeks off with him. We're going to do some short little vacations, some little day trips, and just spend some quality time as a family. So I will not be live next week or the week after. The next time you will see me live, wow, this is really crooked. The next time you will see me live is on Tuesday, July 16th. Not July 16th, August 16th. Okay, I'm kind of in denial about the fact that July is almost over. That's what it is. All right, everybody. So don't forget about me. I'll be back on the 16th. I will still be posting every day, so I will have projects to share with you and some fun things to have fun with. But I will not be live again until the 16th. Okay? All right, everybody. Have a great couple of weeks. I will see you on the other side of my vacation time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.